football. It's Cardinals specifically. Howard, are you surprised that we didn't hear or see anything regarding the Cardinals maybe making a move to be involved in the George Pickens deal?
I'm not surprised. I mean, it's interesting because, I'm getting ready. Next week's my big pilgrimage to Birmingham, Alabama for the 33rd year. Wow. Hard to believe. Yeah. Going down there every week to do Lindy's Pro Football magazine. So I talked with the Steelers writer yesterday after the deal was made, and we have a little thing on each team that has a key loss and a key addition, one player, right? And so he had someone else for the key loss, and I said, do you want to change it? Because we still have some time here. Do you want to change it to Pickens instead of the other guy? And he says, no, him leaving is addition by subtraction. And so I think that, there's certain guys that let's just put it this way, very simply. George Pickens is the antithesis of what the Cardinals want in their locker room and the type of guys that they want. He has tremendous ability. But obviously there's a reason that the Steelers are willing to trade him. And, the Cowboys don't care about that stuff. They're just all about glitz and glam and, and all those things. So they just figure, hey, we'll bring in somebody in and we're going to change him, right? We're going to make him a different guy. Well, all power to him. If they can do that, so be it. But, he's also entering the last year of his contract. And so there are all those issues. I'm not surprised at all. And like I said, I would agree with the Cardinals that he's just not a fit for what this team is trying to put together and has been doing for the last 2 years since Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon came here.
Didn't they already come out and pretty much say that he was just a one-year guy and that's it?
For the Cowboys?
Yeah, the Cowboys, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe they did. I don't. Maybe they. I mean, that makes it even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
If they're admitting it's a 1-year guy. I mean, they gave up a 3rd-round pick next year, and so we'll see how it plays out. Maybe they're just saying that maybe that'll be the case. And George Pickens, he might be on his best behavior because he knows that he's playing for a new contract, and it's a pretty good place to go in that regard. With CD Lamb there and Dak Prescott and. Pretty good offense. So, we'll see, but I'm sure I would think, well, and you never know with the Cowboys, obviously, because they just paid, they just paid CD Lamb, they paid Dak Prescott. And so they're certainly not going to be in the market for let's say a market contract for a top wide receiver. I would think that would not be the case, after this season.
How confident do you think this coaching staff is in building a pass-first identity around Kyler, especially when you're looking at who's the number 2 receiver, who's the number 3 receiver? You think this staff is aligned? That seems to be the word this week in Arizona sports.
How many times did Brian Gregory say aligned in that press conference the other day?
Yeah. Hey, Jimmy, wake up. Sorry, Jimmy just fell asleep. We just woke him up.
I'm aligned with my sleep.
Yeah, I mean, you feel, pass first identity, right? That's what we're going into this season, correct?
A pass first identity for the Cardinals? No, yeah, I don't. I think there's just going to be. No, I don't think they're going to be pass first. I think they're going to be what they've been, which is it's just balance in the offense. And and I would argue. Everyone says, well, it's run first. Well, you do what you're going to do, what you feel will work against the other team, and it doesn't mean they don't expect the passing game to be better and improve with Marvin Harrison Jr. in his 2nd year and, a lot of other things. And, but I don't know that I don't know that they expect it to be pass first. And I think they're just going to continue with what they've built and what this offense has been for the last couple of years, headed by James Conner with the ability to pass and having the ability to have play action and Kyler Murray running a bit more. And that's that we can see even that as being more, part of the offense. So, I think we fall into these narratives sometimes about run first, pass first, balance, whatever it might be, but you go into a game figuring, hey, we're going to do these things because we think it gives us the best chance to win that football game.
Howard Balzer is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Howard, take me then to the NFC West. And for me right now, I have the Rams on top And then I have the Cardinals and the 49ers battling for that second and third spot. I have Seattle as the last team. Am I all wet on that, or do you see it similar?
Are you been hacking my computer?
I read your columns all the time. So,
well, I say that with my computer because with all the stuff I'm putting together with Lindy's, we get these team previews and the writers, put ratings on each unit, and then I add them up, and then that's how we end up ranking the division. And that's exactly how the NFC West fell in terms of the total rating numbers. Now, let me say this. There's not a whole lot of difference in the points for teams. I mean, they all fall a lot of times around the mid-60s when you add up the different positions, and the team that's in first might have 1 point or 2 at most better than second, and on from that. And so that's exactly the way it fell in the NFC West. And then I was looking at some betting odds that I put in the magazine, which I have to write a story which predicts everything for Super Bowl and all that. And that one did have the 49ers ahead in the betting odds of the Rams. The 49ers ahead of the Cardinals with the Rams in first place. But for whatever reason, there's this fascination with the 49ers in the betting odds. I mean, they're one of the top. They're like 5th or 6th to win the Super Bowl, which to me just is way out of line. Now, I'm not saying they don't have talent, but they've lost talent on that defense. They've lost talent on the offense with Deebo Samuel. You don't know what the health of Brandon Ayuk is going to be. Can Christian
3 minutes
through an entire season? So I think there's a certain amount of belief. Oh, well, the 49ers just had one of those down years and they're just going to bounce back and be great again. Well, I'm not saying that can't happen, but I'm not so sure that it will. But I do see the NFC West, and the odds there, fell very, very close. And then if you look at the over/unders, for regular season wins, it's very close there. I mean, I think the Rams were at like 9.5, and the Cardinals and the 49ers are at 8.5, and Seattle's at 7.5. So that's how close those are. Not that it necessarily means anything, but that's the perception of what outsiders believe.
Do we expect any primetime or nationally televised games?
I think there definitely will be. I mean, there were last year, and I think maybe there'll be a couple more. I mean, there's certainly going to be a Thursday game. There'll probably be a Monday game. Big question is, will there be a Sunday night game? And with some of the teams they're playing,
2 minutes.
But I would expect from the way they improved last year and what is expected from them with Murray and Connor and Harrison and McBride, that I think there's the possibility, and it'll be announced next Wednesday. I think there's a possibility of 3, who knows, maybe even 4 primetime games with the way it all plays out.
What number do you have it at when it comes to strength of schedule, or the 4th easiest is what I've heard? I don't know how they come up with that stuff, but where do you have a number with that?
Here's the one thing. I'll have that better for you next week because I don't have it in front of me.
That's
but one of the things I do in the magazine, we have division previews. And I've always thought the whole strength of schedule, it's one number, and obviously it's based on a team's record last year. But all they do is add up the total of the wins and losses that a team is playing. Well, I split it up. I split up strength of schedule.
About 1 minute.
And if you're in a hard division and your division won a bunch of games, well, that's going to skew your overall strength of schedule to be harder because you're playing 6 games against those teams in the division. But then I break it down to the other 8 teams that, of the 2 divisions that each team plays. And then the other 3, they're not wild card games, but the other 3 games. And, and what's the strength of schedule there? The type of teams that you're playing. And so I think that really breaks it down and gives a much better view of what, a team's schedule is. And a lot of times how teams do break down to how those 8 games that are the same. I mean, basically, I'm trying to remember which divisions the Cardinals play this year than the NFC West plays. But every team in the division plays the same 8 games. Another full division in the NFC and another full division in the AFC. And so, how do those play out? Home and away can have an impact on that. But those are the games a lot of times that make a difference. And if you happen to be matched up against 2 really tough divisions, that makes your schedule harder. If you're matched up against two not very good divisions, then it certainly makes it easier. And so those are all things that impact, what the next season could very well look like.
Jackson sent us a note here saying that the Cardinals will play the NFC South and the AFC South. That's the divisions that they will play. Are those teams are not as good as in those divisions as in other divisions.
No, exactly. I mean, last year, the Cardinals played, in the NFC, they played the NFC North, and that was the best division in football last season. And so, those two divisions, when you look at it, I mean, what's Carolina going to be? What's New Orleans going to be? What's Atlanta? Tampa Bay is the favorite there. The AFC South,
clear to break when you're ready.
You've got big question marks about Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and Tennessee right now. Looking at their roster, they might be the worst team in the NFL. So that bodes well for the Cardinals. But every other team in the Cardinals division plays all those teams also. And so that's a big factor in how well, usually how teams will do.
Howard, thank you. Safe travels as well. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, guys. Take care.
That's Howard Balzer, Balzer 721, Sirius XM NFL Radio, Cards Wire, USA Today, does it all. Appreciate him taking some time. He's brought to you today by All City Towing, the largest towing company in the state, in a place where your career can get a serious boost. They're hiring now dispatchers, call takers, lot attendants, drivers, customer service pros. Enjoy set schedules, top-tier towing equipment, health benefits, a 401k with an employer match, paid life insurance, and even a monthly fuel allowance. Sound good? Take the next step. Visit allcitytowing.com. All City Towing, where your future is on the move. Coming up, our Learner Row one call, that's all. We'll take a look at what's on tap tonight and reveal the results of our State 48 Roofing It's Your Call question of the day.